Hello YouTube, this is Marco. I'm your watch cardinal, bringing you another video talking watch collection, another watch collection review. This time sent to me by another viewer. His name is Alfredo. He's 24 years old. He's a university student just like myself, about to graduate as well. And he's been adding watches since the age of 16, but has been into watches pretty much his whole life. So his collection is as follows. I'm just going to read these off to you because unfortunately he has a few too many watches for me to remember off the top of my head. So he's divided them into about 5 categories. So the first category is his dress watches. He's got a yellow gold Rolex Chronograph reference 1625, a yellow gold Sigma dialed Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse reference 3738 with a blue dial, a vintage Jaeger-LeCoultre Memovox, which he's planning to replace the NATO it's currently on with a black leather strap. In terms of chronograph, he's got a Tudor Heritage Chrono with a gray dial. Sadly, it was stolen, but he replaced it with the blue dial, so that's pretty unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you do get back the Tudor Heritage gray dial at some point in the future. He's also got a Tudor Black Bay Chrono, excellent watch. In terms of the divers, he's got a Rolex 16610 LN sub, so pre-ceramic Submariner, a Tudor Pelagos left-handed driver, which he calls the most comfortable watch he's ever worn. He's got a Tudor Black Bay 58 in black and a Tudor Black Bay 58 in blue. And then in terms of his sports and everyday watch, he's got a Rolex 116-400 White Milgauss, a Rolex 214270 Explorer 1, and a Cartier Santos 100 XL. In terms of GMT, he's got a Tudor Black Bay 41 GMT Pepsi, what I like to call the Diet Pepsi. And last but not least, he has a pocket watch, which is made by J.H. Dent, which is actually the maker of the Big Ben, obviously in London, England. And what's cool about that pocket watch is it's actually a minute repeater, so that obviously chimes the time, which I will play for you guys right now. So, great watch collection overall. In terms of what he's looking to add, he's looking to add in the future a PAM 1523, which is a 42mm Panerai with a white dial. He's looking to add another GMT of some sorts, a Grand Seiko, either an SBGA 413 or SBGA 415, and a new 3861 Speedmaster Hesalite. He's asking me, of course, my opinion. What would I add next? Well, let's jump right into it. So, looking at your story and looking at your overall watch collection, I gotta be honest with you, at 24 years old, man, thumbs up to you. You've got probably more watches than a lot of people would collect in their entire lives. And so this is the grain with which I'm gonna kind of give you my advice, and it is to slow down a little bit. I think that at 24 years old, you've already got a pretty solid base. What I would be doing now is consolidating a bit of your collection and upgrading certain pieces within your actual collection. Now, it might not be what you want to do, and again, you don't have to take this advice, you can take it or leave it. It's just personally what I would do and what I recommend you would do. So, looking at your different tiers, I'm going to go kind of section by section and analyze first and foremost your dress watches. So, you've got the Chronograph, the Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse, and the Jaeger-LeCoultre Memovox. Personally, out of the 3, the only one I would keep is actually the Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse. I think it's a perfect dress watch. I think that the other 2, they kind of stick out in your collection overall. That's just my personal opinion. Again, I don't know if they have any sentimental value or if you don't want to sell them at all. What I would do personally is just keep the Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse. You really don't need anything else in terms of dress watches, although you could add more in the future. But for now, at 24 years old, having a Golden Ellipse, I think that's absolutely schmicko. It's super classy, super under the radar, what I like to call kind of stealth wealth. And it's really a watch enthusiast watch. If you know, you know, and if you don't, well, you just don't, right? So in terms of your dress watches, the only one I would keep is the Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse with the blue dial. In terms of chronograph, you've got the Tudor Heritage Chrono, the one in blue, because unfortunately your gray one was stolen. Again, I really do hope you get back the gray one. And the other one you've got is a Tudor Black Bay Chrono. So this is where I would actually kind of shake things up. So you've got your Tudor Heritage Chrono in blue. I actually really like that watch. It wears very well. It's got a very sporty and unique design. But the one that I don't like is actually the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. I think it's a little bit too thick for my opinion. About 15 millimeters. I think it's kind of unwearable if I'm being honest with you. again, that's just my opinion. I tried it on. I really didn't like it at all. So I would actually get rid of that and replace that with the 3861 Speedmaster, the Hesalite version as you want. And I think that would be a perfect two-piece chronograph collection. You've got a kind of blue, really funky kind of heritage chrono, and you've got a pretty, I would say, versatile and pretty classic and kind of vintage inspired chronograph in the Omega Speedmaster. And I think that the 3861 Speedmaster is arguably one of the best ever made. I really do like it. I think it's phenomenal. Again, if you want to know more about it, Showcase Watches did a fantastic review of the 3861 Speedmaster, a hands-on review. So if you guys are interested, make sure to go check that out. Now, in terms of your divers, again, this is another area where I would kind of cull the herd and kind of change a few pieces up and look to replace them. So you got a Rolex 11610 LN sub, so that's a pre-ceramic sub. I would actually keep that. And you got 3 more divers. So you got a Tudor Pelagos left-handed driver, a Tudor Black Bay 58 in black, and a Tudor Black Bay 58 in blue. Now, personally, I would get rid of the left-handed driver and the Tudor Black Bay 58 in black. I think they're just a little bit redundant given the fact that you already own a pre-ceramic Submariner. And I think that the Tudor Black Bay 58 is blue. Again, it's a great point of difference in my opinion with your kind of pre-ceramic Submariner. So in terms of your divers, I would actually just keep the 16610 LN and the Tudor Black Bay 58 in blue and just call it a day right there. I think that's a perfect two-piece combo diver, kind of a luxury diver and a more kind of tool watch diver. Again, I think that is just schmicko. In terms of sport every day, you've got a Rolex 116400 White Milgauss. I don't personally like the styling of that watch, but it is a fantastic watch in and of itself. And I think it does have some investment potential for the future, potentially. So I actually wouldn't get rid of it. If you do enjoy it, I would actually keep it 100%. You've also got the Rolex 214270 Explorer 1. Again, another watch I would keep. I think it's super versatile. It's a kind of go anywhere, do anything type of watch. So I would definitely recommend you keep that. And you've got a Cartier Santos 100 XL. I actually really like that watch. I think it's, again, a super versatile piece, dressy, sporty. You know, it's a do anything, go anywhere type of watch. And for, of course, the viewers out there, if you didn't know, the Cartier Santos is actually the first pilot's watch, true pilot's watch, and arguably the first wristwatch ever made, because it was actually worn by Alberto Santos Dumont on his wrist when he actually took it on a flight with him. And so technically the Santos Dumont is the first pilot watch ever made, and also potentially, I mean, again, it's highly argued, but potentially the first wristwatch ever made. So I think that is a great watch. It's got a great history. The design is obviously pretty iconic, and I think it's just a great versatile piece in your collection. So I would keep all 3 of your sports / everyday watches. I think those are great. Next would be GMT. So you got a Tudor Black Bay 41 GMT Pepsi and a Panerai PAM 1088. Now I actually like both of those watches, so I would actually keep both of them and not touch anything else from there. I think that is schmicko. And then in terms of pocket watches, you got the JH Dent. I actually wouldn't get rid of that. I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty unique. Not many people have minute repeater pocket watches, so I think it's a really cool piece of horology. So yeah, definitely keep that. I'm sure that's some kind of a family heirloom. So that is very, very cool. Now, in terms of what else you should add from there, you know, it's kind of hard for me to say because you are 24 years old, you're about to graduate university, and you've already got a lot more watches than most people would collect in the future. I would definitely, again, go with my recommendations in terms of trimming the watch collection and upgrading certain pieces. And the other watch I would add, I know you said you're kind of itching for another GMT, is a watch that I personally want to add to my collection at some point, which is a Rolex 16700. Obviously, you have the 16610 Submariner, so it shows that you're not really afraid to wear kind of neo-vintage Rolex. And I would actually get one that's in a birth year. So you said you're 24 years old. You're probably born in 96, 97. My brother's 24, born in 1996. That's how I figure that. So I would actually add either a Coke bezel or a Pepsi bezel. Personally, with your collection, since you already have the Tudor Pepsi, I would add a Rolex Coke bezel, although those have been kind of creeping up in value because there is no ceramic version of a Coke, but I think those are great value at the moment. Some of the best buying on the pre-owned kind of Rolex market. I think they're tremendously overvalued considering what you're getting. And at the end of the day, I think it would add a nice sentimental piece to your collection overall. In terms of adding another Panerai or the Grand Seiko, I would just avoid that altogether. If you want to add something else, listen, you're 24 years old. It's clear to me, at least, that you're not short of coin. I think that you should really be striving and aiming for slightly better horologically speaking watches. So I'm talking from the likes of potentially pre-owned Longa, pre-owned Vacheron. I mean, I'm talking true high horology watches. If you want to go kind of at the more entry level, I would recommend something like a Habring 2. I think that's a phenomenal watch. That is some genuine horology right there. I would recommend first and foremost you do your research on the brand. You get to know Habring, what makes him kind of a genius level watchmaker. And then I think you'll really actually fall in love with his story and with his watches. And ultimately, I think that you just can't go wrong if you go in that direction. I think that ultimately, those are the kind of watches that I would add. You've got a really solid foundation of kind of everyday watches, of tool watches, and a really solid backbone to your collection. So I would just start adding watches that are really significant in terms of their horology. You know, you're 24 years old, you've got a lifetime of collecting ahead of you. And so what I don't want your collection to become is kind of a huge amalgamation of a bunch of watches, but that are very redundant in your collection. So I would add slowly, I would add carefully, and ultimately I would kind of trim the collection currently and just upgrade some of the pieces that you've got currently and just go in that direction. But again, you can feel free to disagree with me. If anything, if you want some more advice, you can send me an email. I would be happy to take a look at your collection and work with you and help you build your collection out for the future. But I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves. You've got a great start. I think it shows that you are a real enthusiast about watches. And so that's why I recommend to you to really get into kind of the upper echelon, the upper tier of watches, something that has real significant horological makeup in terms of its build quality and in terms of its design. So those are my recommendations, guys. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of the collection overall. Of course, this is an invitation to like the video, to subscribe for more in the future. My name is Marco, I'm your Watch Cardinal, and I'll see you guys in the next one.